Hey, Alexia.
Hey, Foster.
How are you doing?
I'm not feeling great today.
Yeah, you're a little sick, and we will talk about that later. But for now, let's finish up our conversation about the differences between English in Portugal and Brazil.
Yeah?
Okay, so if you are just listening, Alexia and I, for the last few days, have been talking about why the level of English in Portugal is so much better than the level of English in Brazil. And we've talked about a lot of different things, but I have kind of my personal theory about this.
Of course you do.
Why do you say, of course you do?
Because you always do.
I'm an opinionated person, which is not good for someone that has a daily podcast. So when we started this, without any reason or statistics, my hunch, do you know the word hunch?
Would be my guess.
My guess, my intuition, my feeling. That's a hunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word. But my general intuition was about geography and subtitles. And I do have some statistics to prove that. Not exactly, but do you want to talk about it?
Do I have a choice here?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay, so the first thing that I thought was very interesting is when you look at the GNI per capita of each country, this is still coming from the English initiative from Education First. Do you know what GNI per capita means?
I don't know the name in English. How do I say it?
So this is gross national income.
Yeah.
I believe that is a British standard, maybe an international standard. Usually in the US, we say GDP.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in Portugal, you would say PB.
PB. PB.
It's really funny for some reason. PB. So the GNI per capita in Portugal is approximately $30,000 a year, and more or less half of that in Brazil. So $15,000 a year. What do you think about that?
We are talking about geography, right? So I don't know if we can compare the geography from Portugal and Brazil.
Yeah, but first we're talking about money.
I know, but it's still money has to be with the amount of people, the government, and things of that, and tarara, tarara, tarara. And still, Portugal is the country who has the lowest paycheck from Europe.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say from Western Europe, perhaps.
No, I think it's from Europe.
I would definitely debate that.
Okay, here people earn like the minimum paycheck is like 600 euros. And in the Netherlands, for example, is 200 euros.
Yeah.
So
I'm not debating that.
no, but what I'm saying is that I don't know if we can compare like that because different currencies and different everything.
Yeah, so the GNI per capita is adjusted and it is all put into US dollars. So this takes everything into account. But what I really wanted, we can talk about the economics of Europe and Latin America if you want to, but I say that's for another episode.
I don't know if I'm ready to do that.
I'm pretty sure you're not. So, just as a general rule, we can say that the average Portuguese person has double the amount of money to spend compared to the average Brazilian. Naturally, that means more money for travel. But the big thing about geography is more money for international travel.
Yeah, and you are in Europe.
Yes. And international travel in Europe is super, super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general. Like we can get on a plane right now and go to Spain, France, Italy for like 50 euros.
The round trip.
Yeah. Super cheap and very affordable. And in Brazil, travel is really, really expensive.
If I would like to go to Bahia from Rio, it's the same amount as going to the United States or Europe.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Travel in Brazil and international travel from Brazil is crazy expensive. So I think that kind of proves my theory that geography is really important because, number one, people in Portugal travel a good bit. They have money to travel and it's super easy to travel.
and it's not by airplane, only by airplane. You can grab a car and just go hit the road.
True.
Yeah. And that's true. I had to agree with you. And a long time ago, the second language here was French, right? And then
Yeah, a really long time ago.
no, not
The
really.
French lost, the Americans won.
Oh my god. Not Americans, you're forgetting the British people.
I'm not forgetting anybody. The Americans won. Trump came. It's over. No, but it is true. I am not a big fan of English as the international language, but English is more or less the lingua franca, as we say.
Língua franca.
Yeah, well, in English, we say lingua franca.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's so weird. I never heard about it.
When you say lingua franca, you're referring to Latin.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
How
lingua
do you
franca.
say what?
Think about a man named Frank. Franca.
No, I know, but the first one.
Lingua franca. Just think of lingua franca and then give your most gringo accent possible. But if a Portuguese person is traveling to, let's say, Italy or France, if they don't speak the local language, everyone just defaults to English.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much more real. Like the necessity to learn English is just a lot closer to people in Portugal.
I was helping like two couples at the subway here in Portugal.
Mm-hmm.
And the first couple, they could speak English, but the second one, they were French. And I was with my dad, and immediately I was trying to speak English with them, and they couldn't. And I was like, bye, speak French with them. And I kind of know like some words, and I could have deal with that, but my
I could
mind
have dealt with that. Deal in the past is a irregular verb, so dealt.
Dealt?
Yes.
Okay, I could have dealt with that. Dealt? That's so weird.
Alexia is a little bit sick today, and every new word that I say, she is just amazed.
And then my dad started to talk to them in French, but my mind was blocked. Like I could only think in English because for me, when I can't communicate in my own language with someone else, it's English, the first one.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Are you trying to make a point, or is it?
No, I'm just making a point that really English is the lingua franca from the world, and those French people, they don't have that, so they had to have my dad's help, and that's it.
True. Always good to have your dad around. I think that is the moral of the story.
And then he started to start talking to them, and he was like, peraí, francês, vamos mudar aqui o botão. Tu peux acheter?
But I do think this idea of just geographic proximity is really, really important because that means most Portuguese people, they travel internationally often and from a young age. So I would say the majority of Portuguese people have traveled internationally. So starting from a very young age, they go to a country where they have to speak English,
Mm-hmm.
and they probably do that a few times a year. And on the other hand, Brazilians,
we struggle with that more because if you look at the map, Brazil is really, really far away. So usually like international Travel would be South America, which is all Spanish.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, I think geography is a big, big deal. I think that's the same thing in the US, that most Americans are really bad at learning languages. And most of that is just because we don't travel internationally that much.
no, it's because Americans think that they don't need it because everyone speaks English already. So,
Yeah, but also we don't. What I'm trying to say is the necessity is much more real here in Europe.
oh, yeah, of course.
So all of my students, or all of our students that are in sound school, any Brazilian that I've worked with, they understand the necessity to learn English, and they say, I need to learn English for my job, or I'm going to travel, or something like that. But it's not as like in your face and real, especially from like a young age, that there's not like a question about how do I do it? What do I do? It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to learn English.
Yeah. Okay. So I do agree with the geography point.
Cool. Awesome. So in the next episode, we'll talk about dubbing and subtitles.
Okie dokie.
Okay. I hope the construction stops.
I think they are having lunch now.
Okay, cool. Let's try to record another episode.
Bye.
Bye.